Are you tired of spending hours studying only to feel like nothing sticks? You read the textbook, you highlight, you review your notes, but when it comes time to recall the information, your mind feels blank. This is a common struggle for students and lifelong learners alike. It's frustrating and it can make you doubt your own ability to learn. But here's the truth. The problem isn't your brain. Your brain is an incredible learning machine. The problem is often the methods you're using to study. Many traditional study techniques are simply ineffective for long-term retention. They create an illusion of learning without building the deep connections needed for true understanding and recall. Fortunately, there's a powerful science-backed technique that top performers have used for years. It's called active recall, and it's widely considered the most effective way to learn and remember information. This technique is highlighted in resources like the excellent book Learning How to Learn, and its effectiveness is supported by decades of cognitive science research. It's time to unlock its power for yourself. Let's talk about why those hours of passive studying don't pay off. It often comes down to something cognitive scientists call the illusion of competence. This illusion happens when you mistake familiarity with the material for actual learning and understanding. You read a chapter and it makes sense while you're reading it. You look over your notes and everything looks familiar. Your brain says, "Yep, I know this." But this feeling of familiarity is misleading. Passive methods like simply rereading, highlighting text, or passively reviewing notes don't force your brain to retrieve the information. They don't require you to actively pull the knowledge out of your memory storage. This means the necessary neural pathways for recall aren't being built or strengthened. You feel like you know it because you recognize it, but you haven't practiced accessing it from scratch. This is why you can read something multiple times and still struggle to explain it or answer questions about it later. So, what exactly is active recall? At its core, it's the process of actively stimulating your memory to retrieve information without looking at your notes or the source material. Instead of just rereading, you're asking yourself questions and trying to answer them from memory. You're trying to explain concepts in your own words without referring back. Examples include closing your book after reading a section and trying to summarize it, using flashcards to test yourself, or attempting practice questions before reviewing the answers. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating and powerful. Every time you successfully retrieve a piece of information from memory, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with that knowledge. It's like walking a path in the woods. The more you walk it, the clearer and easier it becomes to navigate. Active retrieval makes the memory more accessible and durable over time. Research consistently shows that active recall leads to significantly better long-term retention compared to passive study methods. Studies conducted at universities like Washington University, Purdue, and the University of California have demonstrated that students who use retrieval practice perform better on exams and remember information for much longer periods. It's not just a theory, it's a proven method for building robust, lasting knowledge. Given its effectiveness, you might wonder why everyone isn't using active recall all the time. There are several reasons, and understanding them can help you overcome the initial hurdles. First, active recall feels harder than passive review. When you try to recall information and struggle, it exposes gaps in your knowledge. This can be uncomfortable and feel less productive in the moment than smoothly rereading familiar text. This relates back to the illusion of competence. Passive methods feel good because they reinforce familiarity. Active recall challenges you and highlights what you don't know yet, which can be a blow to that comfortable illusion. Many students simply haven't been taught effective study techniques. Traditional education often focuses on what to learn, not how to learn effectively. So, people default to the methods they see others using or that feel easiest initially. Finally, the benefits of active recall have delayed gratification. You might feel the struggle up front, but the significant payoff in retention and understanding comes later during exams or when you need to apply the knowledge. Passive methods offer the immediate but false comfort of familiarity. Ready to put active recall into practice? Here are some powerful techniques you can start using today, regardless of what you're studying. The picture walk and recall method is great for textbooks. Before reading a chapter, quickly skim through it, looking at headings, subheadings, images, and captions to get a general sense of the topic. Then read the first section. After reading that section, close the book or look away. Try to recall and explain the main points in your own words. What was that section about? What were the key ideas? Check your recall against the text, correct any errors or omissions, and then repeat the process for the next section. This forces your brain to work. The Cornell note-taking system is another excellent method. Divide your note page into 3 sections. A main note-taking area on the right, a smaller column on the left for cues or questions, and a summary section at the bottom. Take notes in the main right section during a lecture or while reading. Soon after, formulate questions in the left column that your notes answer. Later, cover the main notes and use the questions in the left column as prompts to test your recall. Finally, summarize the entire page's content in the bottom section from memory. The Feynman technique is perfect for understanding complex concepts deeply. Choose a concept you want to learn. Pretend you are teaching it to someone who knows nothing about it, like a 12-year-old. Write down your explanation. As you explain, you'll inevitably find gaps in your understanding or places where you struggle to simplify. Identify these gaps. Go back to your source material to clarify those specific points. Then try explaining it again, simplifying further until it's crystal clear. Finally, spaced retrieval practice combines active recall with the spacing effect. Instead of cramming, review material using active recall at increasing intervals over time. Test yourself on day 1, then maybe day 3, then a week later, then 2 weeks later, and so on. This spaced repetition strengthens memory more effectively than massed practice, cramming. There are apps and systems designed to help you implement spaced repetition with flashcards, making it easier to manage the intervals. Active recall isn't just for memorizing facts. It can be adapted effectively for almost any subject or skill you want to learn. For fact-based subjects like history, biology, or literature, techniques like creating question cards, question on one side, answer on the other, are classic. The blank page technique is powerful. After studying a topic, take a blank sheet of paper and write down everything you can remember about it, then compare it to your notes. Creating mind maps from memory after studying a chapter forces retrieval and helps you see connections. And critically, practice past papers or end of chapter questions without looking at the answers or your notes first. For problem-solving subjects like math, physics, or chemistry, active recall means solving problems without constantly looking back at examples or formulas. Try to work through the steps from memory. After solving, explain why each step was necessary. Create your own variations of problems or use the what-if technique. What if the variables were different? What if the question asked for something else? This forces deeper understanding beyond just mimicking examples. For skill-based learning, such as learning a language, playing a musical instrument, or coding, active recall involves practicing the skill without prompts or relying solely on guides. Try to speak the language without looking up words, play a piece of music from memory, or write code for a function without constantly checking documentation. Use retrieval cues. Can you recall the correct grammar rule when speaking? Can you remember the finger placement for that chord? Try teaching the skill to someone else. Explaining the steps forces you to retrieve and organize your knowledge. Record yourself practicing and evaluate your performance against what you know you should be doing. As you start using active recall, you might encounter some challenges. Don't get discouraged. These are normal parts of the learning process. It can feel difficult and even frustrating at first, especially if you're used to the comfort of passive review. Remember that this struggle is a sign that you are actively engaging your brain and building stronger connections. Embrace the difficulty. It means you're learning effectively. Start with smaller chunks of information if needed. You might worry that active recall takes too much time. While the initial retrieval might take longer than a quick reread, it saves significant time in the long run. You'll need far less review later, and your knowledge will be more robust and readily available when you need it most, like during an exam or on the job. It's working smarter, not just harder. You might feel uncertain about the accuracy of your recall. This is why the verification step is crucial. Always check your recalled information against the original source. Identifying and correcting errors actually strengthens the memory even more than getting it right the first time. Don't fear being wrong. See it as an opportunity to learn better. Finally, you might simply prefer your familiar, comfortable methods. It takes conscious effort to build new habits. Try incorporating small elements of active recall into your existing routine. For example, after highlighting a paragraph, close the book and try to summarize that paragraph before moving on. Gradually increase the amount of active retrieval you do. You now understand the power of active recall and why it's the most effective way to build lasting knowledge. You've seen the science behind it and learned practical techniques to implement it across different subjects. The most important step now is to start. Don't wait. Pick one small thing you need to learn today and apply an active recall technique. Try the blank page challenge for a topic you just studied. Transform your existing notes into questions you can use for self-testing. Create a daily ritual of spending 10-15 minutes actively recalling information from previous study sessions. Mastering active recall is more than just a study hack. It's a fundamental skill for lifelong learning. It empowers you to move beyond passive consumption of information and become an active constructor of knowledge. It allows you to work smarter, retain more, and truly understand what you're learning. The initial effort is an investment that pays off exponentially in greater confidence, better performance, and a deeper connection with the subjects you explore. Embrace the challenge, practice consistently, and unlock your full learning potential. The rewards of deep, accessible knowledge are well worth the effort.